cup of coffee, then I'll go. Thought that
All right, we're going to try once more. I think it's actually broadcasting. And I saw in the last one, a bunch of people jumped on. It basically, I had to delete all the setups and set up again. Hello, Nelson. Z Nelson. What's a Z for? And 10-second delay. So we're going to, most of the audience won't be returning to this. I see some people coming in, but most won't be returning to this. They won't have any idea where the link is, and if you're not a subscriber, it might be kind of tough. But because it was abruptly shut off, I figured I would come back on live and explain to the rest of you. A couple of you know. So 5, I think there were 7 that were trying to get into the last one. And so the last one on my end, it was working, but on the broadcasting, it just wasn't going out. So I had to delete all the settings in YouTube and in my software. I had to delete everything and set up brand new. So so I did that, and apparently I'm not banned. So what happened was, when I played that video, somebody who was watching, apparently, according to YouTube, they sent me an email, complained. And what they do with the excuse of COVID, they just, no, it wasn't copyright claim. They're saying it violated community standards. In other words, it was just too horrific. And while it was, pretty horrible what happened, there was nothing that was all that graphic. So I didn't see any problem with showing it. You see far worse than that in movies. In PG movies, you see far worse than what was actually in that clip. I made a point of, being sure that it didn't show anything graphic. But apparently it offended somebody who was watching, and they clicked report it to YouTube, and YouTube just automatically shredded it. It's not a matter of they took it down, they just deleted everything. They deleted the stream that it was running on, any of the content. Now my software automatically records to my laptop when I'm doing this. No, that's not what they said. And I've had them where the AI does it. I get these emails all the time, and I appeal them and I win, but I've never had one taken down while I was doing it. But they were very specific in the email that it was reported. So so I have to assume that there were, at the time, 30, 40 people watching. Somebody had offended their sensibilities, or maybe they didn't like my comment on it, or who knows. But they hit the report button, and when you hit the report button, it's automatic. That's why it happened so abruptly. So somebody, watched it, hit the report button, and in a matter of seconds, it was just gone. It's just done automatically. Now, they did say in the email that I could appeal it. Well, I'm not going to, because it was a live thing, and I've got it live. So what I'll do is I'll take what I have live, and I'll take this, and I'll mash them together, and I'll just do an upload, because a lot of people can't watch the live, but they like to get some of the local news, what's going on, and so that's what I'll do. So I'll post it up, And I guess I'll delete that video. Maybe I'll just leave a little picture of it so people, know what I'm talking about. More than likely, it was an A9, not an actual person. This happened to no. You're missing my point. I've had AI pull, and you get an email saying that they have determined that you violated community standards. This was very specific that it was reported. This wasn't the AI. Somebody clicked the button. Somebody watching it hit the button, and it was their response to that. It's a different email. Yeah, it happens to people all the time. That's the first time it's happened to me live. Behind the scenes, you wouldn't believe the stuff that I can't put a video up without, it's instantly demonetized. Any video that I put up is instantly demonetized for violation of community standards or unsuitable for advertisers, which is really hilarious because they keep all the advertising money these days anyway. Unless you're a huge player, you don't really see advertising dollars. I've mentioned this before that 3 years ago, I would get $300 or $400 a month from advertisements off the YouTube channel, which is pretty good considering, the level that I was at. I was running about 1,000 subscribers, and I was putting up, 1-2 videos a week with gaps in between. I said, that's pretty good. And it's how many ads they can run on it. Well, travel videos are relatively popular, and so that's what I was getting. Now, with 3 times the subscribers and 3 times the views, I get about $30 a month. And it's funny because what they do is I'll post up a video, and then it will just immediately kick off a message to me saying that it either violates community standards or it's unsuitable for advertisers, and I can appeal it. Well, you get most of your views. When you put it up, right? I mean, so, if you're going to get 300 views, you're probably going to get those in the first 24 hours. And then after that, you get 5 or 6 or 10 every so often, maybe a couple a day, and over time they can accumulate. Like I've got one that over the course of 3.5 years, it's up to about 100,000 views. But, and it's not even a very good video. But so I get that notice, and so what happens is they instantly demonetize it. So I put in the appeal. Comes back with the appeal. Oh, you're right. With only 2 exceptions, anytime I've appealed, it's been reinstated. Except they reinstate it, so you get the advertising dollars from the time they reinstate it. So when it goes up and it's going to get the big hit, they run the advertisements anyway. They keep the money, and then you appeal it, it gets reinstated, then you get whatever's left over. That's how it works. And so it's really profitable for them to take innocuous videos like, pretty much all my videos are pretty middle of the road. And you take those and you just grab all the money at the beginning, and then they can keep whatever's after. So that's the way it works. Those are basically the 2 categories I run into. And it kills me, you mention it, they demonetize it, but it still shows the ad. The one that I'm hit with most is it's not suitable for advertisers. And they run ads on those videos that they say weren't suitable. That's what kills me. I mean, what kind of sense does it make? And that's why you see, if you watch any YouTube, they're all looking for outside sources of income because they can't get it off YouTube anymore. And again, there's exceptions to it. And if you're a big player, if you're PewDiePie, you're getting a ton of money. On the other hand, you're getting about a quarter of what you got 3 years ago. That's just how it goes. But you know, if I had 100 million subscribers and I put up a video and 500,000 watched it in the first day, you know, even if it cuts to a very small amount, it adds up to it. Yeah, they're multi-millionaires off of YouTube. Soon every video will have someone drinking a glass of water, and then the video ends. I don't know. They'll probably find it. That'll be a political statement. You must be talking about Detroit drinking water, and you've offended somebody, and it comes off. Yeah, this has been the week for it. You know, I mentioned at the beginning of that, if you were in on it, we can go to questions and answers. You know, so go ahead and ask questions about Colombia or Ecuador. Feel free. But I had Facebook send me a nasty gram over that Chinese reading that I did about the Cultural Revolution. Then I had YouTube scrub a thumbnail, which was absolutely nothing. I'd show you the thumbnail, but you know, they were just giving another reason. But there was nothing to it. It wasn't political. It was a meme that was actually funny, and it was rated PG or G. I mean, it was absolutely harmless. And they didn't take the video down where I talked about the meme, but they just didn't like it as a thumbnail. I don't get it. I don't get it. Hi, enjoyed your Ibague video. Ibague doesn't get enough love. Are you the person that left a comment the other day on it? Or no, you sent an email. I don't know if you're the person or not. I got an email, somebody saying they just watched the Ibague video and they've got a friend that's there and they're going to visit. I don't know when. And it was a she. And comment yes, email no. Okay. Yeah, I got an email and it was a she, and your name there is Mr., so it's probably not. So I get this email instead of going to visit, and where I stayed would be like perfect for them, and could I send them the information? But you have to keep in mind that was well over a year ago, and it was Airbnb, and I don't even know if they exist with this lockdown. I haven't been even using Airbnb, so I go back in to see if I can look at my history, and they got me blocked out because I put a new like you guys know, I had to put a hard drive in my laptop, and so they read it as a different source, and they said, well, it must not be you, and they blocked me out. So I just said, you know, use Booking or Airbnb and you'll find something. I think it was attractive because it only cost me, oh, you just saw the video, you probably remember, I think it was like $9 a night. It was one room, but it had a well-furnished kitchen, actually. It had all kinds, it even had a waffle maker. I mean, it had blenders, all kinds of stuff. It had a washing machine, and it had a queen-size bed. And it was in a great area. I really liked that area that I was staying in. But the thing about Ibague that for me would never fly is it's way too hot there. It's really hot there. I don't know why. I mean, it's up in the mountains. It's not even that far from here, but you get these microclimates, and that one, you know, the girl that was showing me around, I've known her for quite some time, and she lives there. And I said, hey, I'm coming to your neck of the woods to do a video. So she met up and showed me around. And we went to the center where everybody wants to see the center, and then we went to some other areas where I was staying. We went over to the other end of town with that big mall. So I showed that, and I showed some of the buildings and things driving around Ibague. But that day was somewhere, I would say, in the 90s. And I asked her, I said, this is really hot. Is this a particularly hot day? She said, no, this is normal. This is how it is here. It's always hot here. It's getting hotter, so they say. Well, that's not what they were saying, but they haven't mastered sidewalks. Well, South America is kind of like that. A lot of areas, the sidewalks are I mean, it's these aren't rich countries, and you know, the only way they can do that is if they tax the hell out of people. But if people just aren't making that much money, you can't tax what's not there, and so you know it runs into a problem. Why do you prefer Ar-menia over Monetization? Is it the weather? No, actually, I prefer the weather in Monetization as far as the temperature. It's comfortable here. I like it here, but you get some days that are a little warm, and the thing that saves you is I beat this to death. It's the constant breeze. There's always a breeze. In the couple years that I've been here in total, before and now, whenever I would come to Ar-menia, and then for the past year and a half I've been living here, there's been one day when there was no breeze for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. There was no breeze. And then we had a windstorm, literally a windstorm, where people are grabbing their umbrellas and hats and coats, and people wear coats here when it's 80 degrees. But you know, they're grabbing all their stuff. It was pretty wicked. We were sitting there. I was sitting with a couple, and I had a bottle of water on the table, and it was trying to blow away, and it was full. So, on the other hand, the rain in Monetization is kind of I like here because the rain is mostly predictable. The rainy season of the year, there's two. They're not that much different from when it's not rainy. I mean, it's green. It rains year round here, but it's mostly predictable. You know, if I want to do something, you can almost always get up in the morning, go do your thing, and you're not going to see any rain until early to late afternoon or in the evening. So I can almost always go out and not worry about the rain, with some exception. If you wake up and it's raining, okay, so you know it's raining, but that doesn't happen very often. It's generally later. In Monetization, I swear, it's like it can rain all day long. It rains in the morning. It rains whenever it feels like raining. There's no rhyme or reason to it. You can't really plan out according to that. So be prepared for rain whenever, and be prepared for cloudbursts that I don't see here. We've had, I think, 2 really hard rains here in Ar-menia in the last year and a half. In Monetization, you'll get a little sprinkle, and next thing you know, it's like somebody's dumping buckets of water on you. I mean, it's crazy how hard it will rain there. And that happened to me a bunch of times when I was there. You know, but you have people that are very clever. They'll make money on those because they have some cheap umbrella, and they'll look for the people that don't have umbrellas, and then they'll offer, you know, give them 1,000 pesos or something, you know, 30 cents, and they'll walk you to wherever you're going to go with the umbrella. Very enterprising. Yeah, as far as Ibague, it's always been that. I don't know that there's any difference, but I feel your pain on the sidewalks. Here in Calera, oh, don't give me that centigrade. What's the real temperature? And cloudy rains happens 2 or 3 times per day in this season. Yeah, this is the rainy part. Well, one of 2 rainy parts of the year, but here it's not much different than it usually is. Normally you'll get rain every other day, maybe 3-4 times a week, but they're mostly in the evening or maybe in the afternoon, so you really don't even notice them. But in a lot of places you're going to get it throughout the day, and it's a lot more in the rainy season and a lot less in the dry season. It's a little more consistent. 63 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, for me, that's a nice temperature. I'm from upstate New York. So, anything, as long as it's not 20 below, I'm okay with it. And, we think anything in the 70s is hot in upstate New York, not downstate. And upstate is not just north of New York City. Upstate is like on the border of Canada. I know people in New York City consider anything north of New York City upstate, but it's not how we look at it. And the temperatures are very different. So you have any questions? As long as I'm here, comments, questions. The reason I went back online was really just to make sure that I could get this thing working again, make sure that, they didn't block me forever for a stupid gasoline fire video. Did anybody find that offensive? I mean, I'm kind of curious. Is there anybody, I'm not going to hate you if you thought it was offensive. I just really didn't see it as offensive. I just saw it as, this is what happened. What city are you in Colombia? What do you think of Pereira as a place to live? I lived in Pereira before. I didn't like it. I'm living in Ar-menia, which is about 12 miles from Pereira, maybe less. Not far, but the climates are very different. When I lived in Pereira in 2002, I felt it was hot, it was dirty, there were a lot of criminals, but then that was, at the peak of Colombia's unemployment. It was over 50%, and so you're going to get a lot of crime. So I just wasn't a fan of it. I had to be there. I was actually working a job at the university, and whenever the weekend would come, I would leave. Somebody took me to this area, Ar-menia, and after that, it's like, let's go to Ar-menia, let's go to Ar-menia, let's go to Ar-menia. So I saw the tourist things. I went to the coffee park and Panaka and those things, but I just love, excuse me, didn't mean to spit. I just love being here because it was refreshing. It was cool. It was more my kind of people, kind of laid back, working class. There really wasn't such a crime issue here. Excuse me. There was FARC in the countryside near here, but they got run out, and they're nowhere around anymore. But so for me, it was a place that I didn't like being around when this was right next door, and it was beautiful. And I considered actually buying a house back then because it was just so cheap, because it was so beautiful. And I thought, well, maybe one day, I'll retire, and what a great place it would be to live. Well, I didn't buy the house for various reasons, and I should have, looking back. But yeah, that video was actually shown on the news. I got that copy from it's out of England. I forget the name. Daily Wire, maybe. I can't remember the name of it, but it's Daily Mail. It's a reputable news agency out of England, but it was also on the in Bogota that clip showed. So I can't understand. Do you remember a vlogger from Seattle who did videos of Ar-menia, Cali, Bogota, yeah, and Cartagena? Yeah, he went all over the place. Marshall. If you type in to the YouTube search Marshall, Colombia, and he'll come up. We message each other once in a while. We comment once in a while. He'll now and then watch my videos. I get a notice when he doesn't do much anymore, but he was perfect for this. He was a good-looking guy, but he was really good at it as far as he had everything I don't. he had a really nice personality. He was very discriminating in a good way of, you know, what to say and how to say it. Sometimes I blurt things out I shouldn't say. I just thought his videos were excellent. And there's a guy right now, Monetization, that I actually promoted to you guys as far as let you know, and I put a link up on my somewhere that I think, you know, he's definitely worthwhile watching because his video editing is really good. I found he did a video of my life. What's a day in my life here in Medellin. It was one of those videos about nothing that I watched to the end. I just thought it was really well done. Marshall was my first introduction to Colombia on YouTube. Marshall was one of those, another reason I liked him, and I sent off a message first to him about a particular video he did here in Ar-menia. And what I appreciated was how honest he was. And that's actually hard to find. So many people want to make it something it's not. You got some in Medellin that are like that, where, yeah, for the most part, it's okay, and they'll have some information, but they'll cover up or skirt around. They don't want to be negative. I get that. I get heat anytime I say something people don't like. But it's not as accurate as it could be. And the thing with Marshall is his videos were truth, and he found a way to do it without really being negative. He would hint or imply. He just was really good at what he did, and he was good at showing things because he didn't mind being on camera. For me, it always freaks me out. I'm never comfortable with it. And if I'm out walking around, I find a lot of people don't want to be on camera for me, but he had, a winning smile, good-looking guy. He would go up to people and they would let him do video. They would be in the video for him. So those are all the things I thought were really good. All this blocking is sad. It's a USA thing. The left does not tolerate much, and they control the media. Well, it's gotten kind of crazy. I think with YouTube, I honestly believe that that's almost an excuse for them. I explained how it works with this advertising thing and what they're doing, and I think they're making a ton of money off doing this. That was all money they used to pay out to people. At the level I was at, to go from $400 to $30 a month, they got all that money. So imagine if you're got 10,000 or 100,000 or 200,000 subscribers and you're doing that. Now, I think the bigger you get, the less they tend to do it, but it doesn't matter because you're dealing with such large audiences. They're just making a fortune off of doing this. And, if the algorithms are so good, why is it every appeal I put in, with the exception of 2, have always been repealed? And I'm talking hundreds of them. I'm up to almost 500 videos, and I've had to appeal almost all my videos for the last 2.5 years. Now the 2 were about Venezuela. That was political. They didn't like what I was showing in Venezuela. Again, it wasn't all that graphic, but it made clear what was going on, because back when I made those videos, I was still in Ecuador, and I had a number of Venezuelan friends. There was a reporter from France who was in Venezuela that I've known for years, and we were corresponding almost daily, and he was telling me what he was running into. And stories I was getting from people in Venezuela while I was in Ecuador, I would say, hey, I was told today such and such. So I was constantly doing that. And the truth of it was horrific, to the point where people were saying, no, it's being overblown. And like it wasn't being overblown. The thing about the big one, the thing about the cannibals. it turns out it was absolutely true. And he explained to me where it was, and he actually did some video work in the area. What was the name of the Merida? It was in the mountains. There was a big prison there, and that's actually where it all began. Cannibalism in the prison. Then they let all the prisoners go out, so they carried it out into the population. And it's a thing there. And, you know, people deny, no. Well, he was there. Now, I was told about this by a lady who was constantly talking to her mother, who was still there and lived in that area. And she was really afraid. And so it seemed pretty far-fetched to me. So I checked with him on that, and he said, yeah, he's even got some video clips, you know. He was doing a story on it. So anyway, that's what I liked about Marshall. He showed the real Columbia and wasn't trying to sell you. Exactly. Exactly. Do you think I should be relatively safe to rent a small house outside of Ar-menia in the countryside? Yes, normally. Right now, we're seeing... How do I say this so it's not misunderstood? I try to be very clear about things. We're seeing a spike in crime. And the crime that we're seeing is groups of 2, 3, 4, 5 guys going outside of the city where people have less defense and it takes longer for police to come. And it's basically home break-ins. Nobody's been, you know, shot or any. In Ecuador, that's a thing. If you live in the country, there's a good chance you're going to end up dead. But here, it's not the case. But it's in the news. When I say a spike, I mean that's something that just doesn't happen here. And in the last month, I think I've seen 3 cases reported in the news. So if you want to be cynical and say, okay, well, that's only half of the cases, so that's maybe 6, maybe. Although I think most stuff lands in the news here like that. But in each of those cases, they were actually caught by police. One group was caught in the act, and the other 2 were caught soon after, because people here aren't afraid to talk. And they said, oh, you know, that was so-and-so with this car or whatever. In one of the at least one of the cases, they came dressed as police and used that to gain access. No, that's not a normal thing. It's desperation. When things get desperate, you're gonna see that kind of stuff. It's always going to be safer in a good part of a city. In the country, you're away from things. You're away from people. On the other hand, it's not a normal thing in this area. So I don't know if you really want to. I would start here, you know, rent a place here, see how it goes, and you know, kind of ease into it. This Corona thing has really kind of skewed everything. Doctors in Texas and California found a difference between death and no symptoms and vitamin D and C in blood. Yeah, I don't want to go too far into that, but I saw a speech. I try to watch things direct, and it was on YouTube, and I can't remember her name, but she worked for the CDC, and she said that basically they're counting all deaths as being COVID related. So she came right out and said that if you're in a car accident and it kills you, but you had COVID, that's a COVID death. You know, it's a shame that happens, because it just causes everything to become suspect. You know, it's like, obviously that's false information. So if you can't believe that, what can you believe? And so the worst thing that's come out of this is it's become political and it's become divisive. You should wear a mask. You shouldn't wear a mask. It's almost like a right and left thing, whether you wear a mask or not, which is just insanity. You know, my personal opinion is in the United States, it's not constitutional. That doesn't mean you should or shouldn't wear one, but it shouldn't be imposed on you. On the other hand, stores can. They're private businesses, so if a store says you got to wear a mask to come in here, that they can do that. So anyway, as a retiree visa holder, can you have a gun? People can have guns here. I don't know the rules about it. You can buy guns here. It's not in Ecuador. It's a different thing. When socialism came, they took everybody's guns, and here guns are pretty common here. Actually, you don't have a lot of gun crime, but guns are pretty common. I live in a country and we use a security service with a motorcycle that patrols the area at night. Yeah, you can actually hire. You can hire private security here is used more than police. It's a big thing. You know, all these buildings we have guards with pistols. Like in my building, you know, he's got a pistol, and guards will have shotguns and pistols, and you can hire them pretty cheap. They have security services. You can go in and say, hey, what's it going to cost to have somebody kind of run by my neighborhood at varying hours to kind of check things out, or can I get somebody to check up on my house in particular? Whatever it is you want, you know, they're gonna do it. And it's labor is the most inexpensive thing here, so you know it's not going to cost you a lot to do that. I'm a country boy. I grew up in the country. I grew up as poor as we were. We had about 50 acres, and we were poor compared to everybody around us. I think the next smallest plot was like over 200 acres. And my novia said that as to guns, you have to be a citizen, have a reason, and guns are bought only from the government. That probably rings true. I don't know if, I think you could probably be a permanent resident, would be my guess, because you get so many citizen rights as a permanent resident. Now, I'm a temporary resident. I can't be, I think I've got 3 more years before I can become a permanent resident. I have to get 1 more visa. Have a reason? Yeah, that's probably true. Although the reasons don't have to be that critical. I mean, I live in the country and I need it for protection would be a reason. Because I know somebody who is not a guard, has no reason other than the fact that they have a house in the country. And they're Colombian, but they, you know, that's their reason. And guns are bought only from the government. Well, yeah, probably, but I don't know. Yeah, I really can't speak to it because I don't know. I haven't looked into it. I haven't considered. I mean, I grew up, went my whole life with guns. But since Ecuador, as a matter of fact, I had to sell guns when I left the United States. And in Ecuador, you couldn't have one. And here, I mean, I just, it's a different lifestyle. You know, I'm in the United States. I would go to gun ranges. You know, it would be fun. It was like taking a dirt bike out. You know, it was recreation, and it's not really set up for that here that I'm aware of. Plus, I stay so busy all the time. Well, lately, not so much. Just getting fat and lazy right now. But I mean, normally, without this quarantine, I'm just always on the go. So, yeah, I guess maybe I could look that up, try to find some information, but it's, I don't think it's a very hot topic. So we got anything else? No, there's a bunch of you watching, and I'm just kind of blathering on. Well, like I said, the reason I came back online was to make sure that I could reestablish the channel because all my setting, nothing was working. So I had to redo it. I'm glad it didn't take too long, but I was a little frantic thinking, maybe they block me. Maybe I can't do live anymore, and that would kind of suck. It's part of my routine now. When will things get back to normal? God, I don't know. They just keep extending it for me. It's the worst part for me. It's like we get within a couple days of this being over, and they tack on another 2 weeks. It's Charlie Brown in the football. Like, you almost get there. It's been happening over and over and over and over and over and over and over, and I think over. Yeah, I love this background. I really like this one. I'm very fond of it. And the other background is this one. I explained all about this in the first part of the video that got shut off. I will upload that. Some of you might be curious. I did save it. I will upload it. I'll just have to excise out the part they didn't like. But this was my home in Ecuador, Hakkarainen. That's a little village way in the background where the green kind of ends and it goes into the mountains. Other than the weather and crime, what else do you not like about Pereira? There's no D in it. It's just pronounced with a soft D. I shouldn't. There's some really nice things about the place, and there's things there that aren't here because it is bigger. I probably shouldn't rip on it as much as I do. I'm telling you how I feel about it. I don't want to tell you that it's one thing when I don't feel that way. However, it doesn't mean it wouldn't be something different for you. And I've explained a lot of times about what it is about it. And for me, a lot of it has to do with the past I've had here in Ar-menia, the kind of people that are here, the kind of friendships, the level of trust here. When you interact with people here, for the most part, it's a very sincere interaction. And the bigger the city goes, the less you find that. And Pereira is like twice the size of here, so to me it was a big city. I mean, it's a sixth of what Medellin is, but it's too big for me. And when you add to that, it's hot, it's dirty, it's kind of jumbled up, then those really nice neighborhoods and areas, it becomes just not worth it to me. Coleman, thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, speaking of, and I'll get to these, I do want to mention that I am shutting down the Patreon page, and I put a notice up, but some people that watch these videos haven't been in there, and they're contributors, and I want them to stop contributing because I haven't found a way to actually for me to shut that page down. I sent an email off to Patreon, and they're not responding, and I don't want people to keep putting money in when it's going to go inactive. So if you're signed up on Patreon, leave it. There's a notice there. Read that, and I sent out a personal email to every person, so hopefully you'll read that, and there's a link for the alternative. Okay, nice to see you, mi amigo, and glad you're doing great. Looks like you're stepping up your way with the background and mic. Good job. Keep making great videos, and thanks for time and effort. Well, thank you. That's very nice, and I appreciate you noticing. I appreciate you noticing that I worked hard on this because I had all this time, right? But I conquered this software that I have 2 degrees. One's in aviation management from Southern Illinois University, and the other through New York is computer engineering. And through a lot of my life after I got the computer engineering degree, I would sideline setting up people's websites because back when I started, there weren't that many people doing it. Now there's millions. but I would set up people's websites. I would also go around and set up networks to local businesses like lawyers' offices. They would need 5 or 6 computers networked, and various businesses like that. So I would do that. It was always a sideline. Doing that, I was involved with a lot of different software programs, and intuitively, well, I learned coding but hated it. But intuitively, I could deal with software and kind of master it without, really instructions. There's a lot of similar things from one program to the next. So I get to this OBS software, and it just blew me away. This is an open source program, and it's particularly the older ones were really confusing. A new version came out which helped me a lot, but it's such a complicated piece of software. It just took a long time to figure it out and to get it to work. Okay, are there really no apartment buildings there at all? Well, an apartment building is a building that's built for the purpose of renting apartments to the public. And no, we don't have those. That's not a thing here. And I didn't see that in Cuenca either. Here, they build the building, they sell these. A lot of them are pre-sold. So you'll go to a place and they'll show you, this is what it's going to look like, and here's a model, and if you buy now, you'll get 20% off, and it's a lot of it's for retirement, for second homes, particularly here in Ar-menia, because this is the #1 retirement destination for people in Bogota. So, because it's safe and the climate's awesome and people are laid back and it's inexpensive, so it's a place to go. So they build these buildings, and a lot of these are pre-sold, and then once it's built, they're selling them. So they're individual owners. And so if you rent, you're renting from those individual people. And they're called condominiums instead of apartments because they're each owned. So they may look and feel like apartment buildings because that's what we're used to, but like this one is owned by a guy who's working in Bogota. How cheap is the cost of living in Ar-menia than Pereira? Well, between Ar-menia and Pereira, it's similar. There's a few things I actually saw a little higher because they would have to go to Pereira to get it and bring it here, but not many. Most things are very similar. Some of that depends on how and where you shop too. Thinking the same thing. You've come a long way professionally since doing the videos on your balcony. Well, you go back 3-4 years ago, I did a video recently for members only that was kind of a compilation of first videos versus 6 months later, 6 months after that. So I hit a bunch of videos, and you can see the changes then, but now this microphone's made a huge difference. Sound is so much of it, and I just couldn't afford a good microphone in Ecuador. And then here, I found how I could get it without having all the tax. Using this arrow post has been a godsend. And then on top of that, I find this microphone at this price of $50, and then I can get it in and not have to pay taxes. And the total cost, I think, was $53, all said and done, delivered to my door. And this microphone is as good as if I had dropped $200 on it. There's YouTube videos on this particular microphone. There's dozens and dozens of them because people just can't believe it. Then they get on, they test it, and then they play right next to it, a $500 microphone, and they say, well, you can hear this. I can't hear the difference. to me, it sounds awesome. You know, for a YouTube video, it's all you need. So being here allowed me to do it, where I just couldn't do it before. What is the rent for furnished luxury apartment in Ar-menia? Furnished, I don't know. You're not going to find a lot of furniture. Just buy your own furniture. I mean, I didn't even spend $1,000 to completely furnish, including washing machine, refrigerator, and tons of stuff. My 2-bedroom, 2-bath here in the north, although little on the small side, is now it's been running about $250. When the exchange rate was 2/3 of what it is now on the peso side, it's a lot more expensive. It was still $270 or $275. So that's my rent here. It's been running $250. And, you know, plus I just bought all the stuff I needed. It was cheap. Most of it's used. There's a good used market here. Again, in Cuenca, there wasn't. I like the balconies. You always showed the outside view. Yeah, that was nice. But I couldn't, to set up what I needed to do in order to get these videos to look and sound like they do, I really couldn't do it on the balcony, because some of this I need to be here all the time. I can move my laptop, but the camera, the microphone, the preamp for the mic, it comes with a box to put power to it. It's called Phantom Power, 48 volts, and all of this stuff. I can't really be setting it up and taking it down, you know, constantly. Is it a luxury apartment? I don't know. What do you call luxury apartment? I've got a guard. It's got a floor with a jacuzzi and barbecue grill that you can use, and it's got 4 tables with chairs and a huge patio, and you can play music, and it's got separate bathrooms, and it's got a little kitchen area. It's got a huge patio on the roof that oversees everything. It's got the exercise room on the first floor. It's well equipped. It's got pretty much everything that you could want, with a little kitchen area and separate bathrooms. It's got a sauna. It's got a what do you call the one without the steam? See, mind block. And you know, I'm right here in the heart of the north. I'm right next to Mokawa, so I don't know. You could probably say it's kind of luxury. It's a nice apartment, but the most expensive you're going to. This place has 2 jacuzzis actually. They're like small swimming pools. You can put like 8 people in them. You just you go down to the guard and you say, I'd like to have the jacuzzi at 8:30 tonight. And as long as nobody else has it, they'll go up and, you know, fill it up. And when they're done, they'll send the lady up to go clean it, drain it, and clean it all out. You just let them know. You schedule it. If you're going to have a party, you just say, hey, I want to have a party on, you know, whatever day, time, how long it's going to be. And they pencil it in. For the charcoal grill, there is a charge. I think it's maybe 10,000 pesos, a couple dollars, because, you know, there's a gas tank and, you know, there's some use to it. Are there luxury apartments available? Yeah, they're definitely here. I showed La Castaña. There's a building over there. It's called Habab, I think, or Habeb, or I can't remember the name. Starts with an H. I think it ends with a B. Habeb. It's a beautiful place. They're huge. $500 is about the most you're going to be able to spend on an apartment. That would be a, you know, something like 15,000 square feet, 2,000 square feet, like size of a house. You can find furnished occasionally, but the thing is, it's rare to find a place that's going to have furniture that you're comfortable with, and then you're responsible for it. I just don't see it as a plus. I don't see it as an advantage. I would say just come here, get a nice place, get the lay of the land, and then plan for the next year where you actually want to be. That's, you know, I think that's the best way to do it. You can find, for $200, you can find really nice apartments in nice neighborhoods. I wanted to be in particularly where I am. So the couple apartments I was checking out, I'm calling them apartments, but the couple places I was checking out were within a few blocks of each other. I knew where I wanted to go, and I'm here, and I extended, you know, so I'm still here, and I'm actually coming up for the next time around, and, you know, I've got to decide here pretty quick. Oh, we used to shop at Certimax. I don't know who Certimax is for groceries, and prices have gone up. Now we go to places unorganized but cheap prices. I do most of my stuff at Olympica. My favorite place is Lorales Supermercado, up north of me, and street stuff. The fruit seems to be usually the best if you buy it on the street. Fruit, vegetables, street vendors, I think are the way to go. Of course, again, we've got a crimp in it, although we do have fruit carts and trucks coming around through the neighborhoods more often than they used to. When I started the video, the first one that got deleted, I was wondering if you're going to hear it because it was a truck with a loudspeaker that was talking through. Then I get focused on this, and I think he might have stopped before I started, or it bled over. I don't really know. Could you live a reasonable life for $1,200 a month there, or is that not enough? That's fine. $1,200 a month is great. When I was running into my problems, I was under $800 a month. That hurt because I already had this place. Well, I don't want to go into all the detail, but I got through it because if you just kind of lower your needs, you know, be willing to forego little extravagance. So for that, I could do okay. It was tough. It was really tough, and I couldn't have done it forever. But $1,200, I'm closer to that now, and I'm actually doing pretty good. I don't have a lot of extra money to waste, but the exchange rate bonus for the almost past year has helped a lot. That's how I got the car, plus I got the Uncle Sam money, plus I got some contributions in, and I put all that in a fund for the car. Right now I'm trying to build up another fund. I've got I got 1.1 million pesos in another fund for something else that I don't want to say right now. So every month I can take some and put it, and that's not a huge amount. What is that? $300? Almost 300. Little less than $300. But I've been saving that since I got the car, and I got the car, 4 months ago? That poor thing, it's just been sitting down in the garage doing nothing. I had to buy a new battery. It'll be just my luck. I'll find out the battery is shot. They don't like sitting. So yeah, $1,200, you can live a pretty good life. $1,200, this is what I would suggest, is come here and get a place like Airbnb, one room or something, and then start planning while you're here. Learn where to buy things, learn how to get used things, learn all the nuances, the ins and outs. it'll save you a ton of money. Don't come here with $5,000 that you've saved and use that to set yourself up. You're going to look back later and say, I wasted so much money. So don't do that. You ever considered buying a piece of land to build? No. I would do it in Colombia if I were so inclined, where I would never do it in Ecuador. However, why? Why would I do that? Why would I go through any of that? It's too easy to rent. It keeps you mobile. It doesn't tie anything up. Why would I do that? If you want to live in the country, you can rent a place in the country. It's so cheap to rent. I just don't know why I would ever want to do that. But that's me. You know, you ask if I ever considered it. I think it's not the best idea. But you know, to each their own. Why in Colombia? That's where it would be interested. Why in Colombia? Why? I'm not sure. Why have the headache of owning real estate when rent is almost free? Well, it's not free, but yeah, you know, it's like when you rent a place, you're responsible for it. But your contract is whatever you decide to negotiate. So I went around and I found things that, you know, could use repair, might potentially be a problem. I took video of it. I sent it to the guy. And so he carries, as a part of the agreement, as part of the contract, responsibility for certain things. And some of them have failed, and I'm glad, because there's no surprises. But when you own, you own the problems that come with it, and it locks you into a place. It takes some time to find a place or an area that you're really going to be happy with long term. So you come down, you get an apartment, you go out and you hunt around, and after a couple months, because you're chomping at the bit, you want to get this done, you buy yourself a piece of land, and you line up the builders and all that, and let's say you get all that done, and then the year goes by and it's built and you move in, and then you find all the reasons, you find out about the things you weren't aware of, why it was not the best place in the world. Now you got to kind of bite the bullet, and you just got to tough it out. And it's not the easiest thing to sell, although there's a healthy real estate market. But whatever you put into it is a good chance it's going to be more than what you can sell it for. I don't know. It just doesn't seem to make sense to me. I'm not here to deal with a bunch of stuff. I'm here to enjoy my life and do my videos. My job is my videos, and my life is my life. And I don't want to get involved in potential issues and problems. I don't need to look for that when it's too easy to not. It's cheaper and easier and more mobile with no money tied up to just rent. Heard that selling is difficult. It can be. It depends. I've got a friend, if you're on any of the Facebook pages like Ar-menia or Blue Tulip or whatever it is, or even the Monetization, she posts up every so often this condo, and I think it's 4-bedroom, it's got a kitchen, it's got very modern security, it's got cameras all over the place with a screen, and it's awesome place. It's in an older building, but it's in the best part of Ar-menia, and the cost works out to like $55,000 for this huge place in the best part of Ar-menia to buy. $55,000, and she's been trying to sell it for months. Now, granted, COVID, but she was trying to sell it for 3 or 4 months prior to this, and just nothing's happening. The place is awesome. Is Colombia open now for tourism? No. Colombia is not open for tourism. They're saying September 1st. We will see. They keep extending things. But I don't know. They keep saying. Now, I have read some things about Duque lately, and he had a statement. Yeah, this is good. What was it? I wrote it down here. After August 31st, can't read my own writing. After August 31st, people will have to learn with COVID as the economy is devastated. In other words, after August 31st, all bets are off. Things are going to open. People have got to get back to work. He's saying that if it goes any longer than that, there won't be a Colombia to... It's going to be so much worse. And I was heartened to see that statement. But we'll see if it comes to pass. But I think that's his hard deadline. He wanted to open prior. And he's getting so much flack because it's political here too. And so it just keeps getting extended. But the places that were bad are still bad. The places that don't really have cases like here, it hasn't changed. The quarantine thing, no. Anyway, don't want to go there. As to renting, you are correct. I own property. Selling is almost impossible. With no financing, that's true, and no buyers like the USA, cash buyers only. That's another aspect of it. And people come down here and they've got retirement money, and so they're prime buyers. But then you're going to have to find another retirement person almost. That's a really good point. It is. You can get loans, but they're few and far between. From what I understand, extremely difficult. Now, the lady I was just talking about that has this apartment for rent, she got a loan to get that apartment along with her father. But that's not a usual thing, and the down payments have to be quite large. They had another place that was paid for, and they had to take all that money and put it in as a down payment, and then they got a loan for the balance. I bought a property here and I'm very happy, but also note that my wife is Colombian, which makes things a lot easier to handle. Real estate goes up 8 to 10% a year. See, that's also true because if your wife is from here, then chances are she's lived in this area for a long time, and so she knows a property that you're going to get. You just know it. Wherever you're from, let's say you were born there and you lived your whole life, there's certain aspects about where you might get a house that somebody coming in, or even if it's been here for a year or so, there's certain aspects that they're not going to be aware of that you know because you're an insider. Well, it's no different here in Colombia. So you get a place, maybe you get a place and you had no idea that it floods out once a year. There's just certain things that, how are you going to know? And the person selling it's not going to volunteer any kind of negative information, right? And here, there is nothing verbal. The contract is the contract, and that's it. Real estate goes up 8-10% a year. I've heard that, but I don't know. Then you see that it can be difficult, to sell also. So I don't know. There's a healthy real estate market here. Things are bought and sold, but that doesn't mean individually that you're not going to struggle, because there's a good chance if you come here, you're going to get an outsider price, even if you don't think it is. I know Colombia, and I've been around for many years, and I have a lot of Colombian friends, but if I tried to buy something, I would probably have to have some Colombian friends, maybe a Colombian lawyer that I know, negotiate for me. Okay, my throat's sore. I'm tired. And people are starting to fall off a little bit. Thanks for hanging in there today with me. I really appreciate it. Think about being a member. If if you're already a member, please get a hold of me so we can do our live chat for our members only. And if you're on Patreon, please leave it. The alternative, I sent you an email. Take a look at it. Is the condo you're referring to on Norte 150? Condo I'm referring to. The good one? It's on the same road as, I forget what the number. It's on the same as Home Center. It's the road that's on the edge of Ar-menia that drops off, towards Calarca. Whatever that, I don't know them by numbers, but I thought it was like 8. But that road, it's on the, if you go north from the Home Center about 3, 4, 5 blocks maybe, it's on that corner, which is almost directly west of me here. Okay, that's it. Let's call it a day. I got an email. Feel free to send me emails if you have other questions, but I'll be here again next Sunday. So let's put a cap on it here. Ciao.